Good morning and welcome back to Dan's Vintage Baseball PC. Do not be fooled by the fancy name. It's just me and some friends talking about some baseball cards. And today, it's the Saturday of Easter weekend, so I don't have a guest. I am lining up a lot of good guests for the next several weeks with some pretty cool shows planned. So I figured we'd just fill in this week with a nice little rundown of cards that I got in the last couple months. This will not include any of the cards that I got at the Philly show because, as you know, I did a Philly show video, which was by far my most popular video in terms of likes, comments, views. It's at 1,600 views at this point, which honestly, pretty happy about. I wish my followers were at 1,600. We're at about 465, I think, something like that. Anyway, I was on Alex's Card Room Live, Alex Bowman 53, on Sunday, and that was a lot of fun. And I talked about one thing that I'm planning on doing, which is a live show to celebrate the 1-year anniversary, which would be in June. Already lining up guests for that, and hopefully we'll be at 500 subs by then. So cards that I got recently. We'll start out with some smaller ones. This is Joe Black, 1954. Topps Joe Black. As you know, I'm a Joe Black fan. He's up. You can't see him, but he's up in the Dodger display, his 53 card. And I also have shown off in the past a autographed photo of Joe Black, certified autograph. I'm not necessarily building him. I have the 56 also. Don't have the 55. I don't have any of the oddballs. But at some point, I'll probably end up with a black PC that we can do a show on. His 52, I should remark, however, is a very difficult card to get because it's a high number and it's a rookie card and it's a Dodger. So you pay up for that one. And someday I'll get it, but I'm in no rush. This is 1950 Preacher Row that I bought in a lot. Another part of my Dodger collection. Nice card from a pitcher who was underrated, had some fantastic seasons for the Dodgers in the 1950s. Also added to my 1914 Braves collection. This is Butch Schmidt. Sorry. He was from a family of butchers and left the baseball world to go back and be a butcher. Hence the name. Was the first baseman for the Miracle 1914 Braves. I have several of his cards. I'm probably going to do a Schmidt show at some point. He's a very interesting character, and this, of course, is a 1915 Cracker Jack. It's missing the top corner, hence the 1, but otherwise a beautiful example of that card. Also from the Cracker Jacks is Joe Connolly. This is a 2, but I think it's mostly because of some of the there's a little crease there, but some of the corners are a little light. But nice example of a 1915 Cracker Jack. Joe Connolly was the best outfielder on the 1914 Miracle Braves. Had a couple of good years in that time frame, but not much else in his career. But Joe Connolly also got him in the Famous and Bar. It's the M101-4. This one with the Famous and Bar back. Nice card. Got this off of eBay. I watched it for quite a long time. Ultimately, the price went down a little bit, and then I made an offer. And then I ultimately was able to get it. So nice ads for that. As I've also mentioned, I'm building a complete 1953 Bowman set in slabs. I have the complete set. I'm slowly upgrading to slabs, card by card. I'm about 100 in of the 160 card set. So this one, it is a BVG, but beautiful example of red Schoendienst. Not the only Bowman I've gotten in this time frame. I've probably gotten about a dozen or so, but this is probably the most prominent card of that run. And of course, another beautiful example of photograph from the 1950s and the 1953 Bowman set. Also adding the cards to the 51 Burke Ross set build. I've picked up a bunch. I think I'm about 7 cards short on that. It's all going to be slabbed. It is some of the. I have mostly all of the really good players. I think Ashburn is the only one I don't have of the Hall of Famers, and the rest are just obscure guys. But these 2 guys, relatively obscure, but absolutely crucial members of the 1950 Whiz Kid Phillies team. These two guys were both in the top 10 in MVP voting that year. Del Ennis, that's Hamner. This is Del Ennis. Del Ennis was a terrific slugger in the 1950s for the Phillies, late 40s and early 50s. Actually held the Philadelphia Phillies home run record for several decades until that record was broken by one Michael Jack Schmidt. This is a 7 that I got for something like $30. I don't know, a ridiculously low price for a 7. But anyway, Del Ennis is a Philly who's in the 51 Burke Ross set, as is Granny Hamner. Granny Hamner was the shortstop on the 50 Phillies Whiz Kids. He finished 6th in MVP voting. I should mention that Del Ennis finished 4th in MVP voting that year. Hamner was a multi-time All-Star, was a prominent member of the Phillies throughout the 1950s, and terrific player. And here he is in a 7 in that set. Now, the 51 Burke Ross has a lot of Phillies in the set because they had just won the pennant. So you'll see when I do the ultimate show on the set, when I finish it, a lot of Phillies, a lot of Yankees. So that brings me to a couple of ungraded, not necessarily cards, but items that I acquired. This is the postcard. Now, I will link to my appearance on Alex's Card Room Live show on Sunday, but I went over this 1914 postcard of Polo Grounds featuring John McGraw up here, and the fascinating story of the back of this card, which has to do with a family called the Fendricks who lived in Evansville, Illinois. I'm sorry, Evansville, Indiana. Were a prominent family, and great history behind this card, which was sent as a postcard about 3 weeks after the beginning of World War I to discuss getting somebody out of Europe at the beginning of World War I. Fascinating story, but I'll link because I told the whole story. I'm not going to do it again in the Alex's show. This is a Dixie Lids Premium of Carl Hubbell. I believe the story here is you got enough Dixie lids with baseball players on them. You mailed them in to Dixie, and they sent you back this wonderful photo. These are not, these came with, these hole punches came with it. I assume there was also a binder that these would go into. But anyway, this Carl Hubbell is in fantastic shape. I'm assuming it sat in a book for years. I think one of the corners is a little what's tipped, so to speak. But this Hubbell is a fantastic card that, well, it's not a card, but it's a photo essentially that's going to go back in here. In fact, it was in there with the holes, and I pulled it out last night and knocked over like half the other cards. So, oh well, I got to organize everything in a nice little way again to make the display a little more presentable. But these are the 4 biggies that I've got over the last couple of months. This is the 1960 Hank Aaron, which was the only 60s card I was missing out of the Aaron run of, the regular Topps cards, what you call them, flagships. So I finally got this. I think this was a golden auction at a fairly reasonable price. It's a 4 because it's a little off center, but the corners are fantastic. The color is fantastic, and there's none of those crazy print problems that you have with the 1960 set. There's always smears or little black dots or something. The 1960 top set is the quality is not up to par most of the time, but this one is clean. Happy to get that. This card, I'll leave that one for last. This card I got at the White Plains show last weekend. Again, another add to the Spawn collection. This is the 1964 Topps stand-up. Spawn is a short print in this. The funny story about this is I went to the dealer, and I think he had it marked at 150, and I said to him, I'm interested in this card, but I don't know if that price is high or low or whatever. Let me do my research and come back. So I came back, and no, I went away to do the research, and he said, I can go as low as 135. So I said, okay, well, let me check. So I go back and check. The last comp was 135. So I came back and said, you're fair. You're reasonable. I'm going to buy this card because I need it, and 135 is the price. So that's what I bought it for. A nice example on dealing with with dealers at a show. I should mention that Sammy Thunder, who was my guest last week for the SABR show, has had a couple of good videos come out recently where he's discussing his approach to dealing with dealers at shows. Both of those shows feature Mike Monahan, baseball collector, who is far more experienced than many of us in terms of dealing with sales at shows. So those I'm going to link to both of those videos. One's on Mike's channel, and one is on Sammy's channel, and they're both really helpful, particularly since we're going to be having the big Strongsville show coming up in about, I think it's less than 4 weeks from now. So last two biggies. This one was my only win in the REA auction that closed, I believe, Sunday night. This is the 1946 Propagandist Montiel, Carl Hubble, again added to the Hubble collection. This card sort of breaks my strict playing days only, but it's this, it's this set which I absolutely adore. As you can see, there is some staining right there, and the back has a significant amount of staining. That's why I got this at a hammer price of $80. So I've been tracking this card for years, and you generally can't get them under 100. And so this was a nice pickup for me. And this will be, of course, featured in the Carl Hull show, which is eventually coming. My big hit at the White Plains show was this card. It is now my only DeLong card. I've been kind of chasing DeLong cards here and there, things that fit into other parts of my PC. This is, of course, Jimmie Foxx, and I have confirmed a future episode with the Jimmie Foxx collector, and so this will be featured on that episode, along with my other Fox cards, which you can't see. They're back here. Anyway, so Jimmie Foxx, 1933 DeLong. I should go back and check this, but I'm pretty sure Jimmie Foxx won the 1933 Most Valuable Player. He was the star of the Philadelphia A's at that point, would, of course, later go to the Boston Red Sox for many years. So this one, this is a purchase that I made from the prominent dealer Ashish J, who is at many shows. I'm sure he'll be at Strongsville. In fact, I know he was because I talked to him about it. But he's been coming to the White Plains show recently. It's maybe the third or fourth one in a row that he's done. He's always in Philly. I know that he's from, I believe he's from Houston. First time I bought a card from him was someone bought the card for me in Houston, negotiated for me in a bundle with cards that they were buying, and then mailed it out to me. That's the Lou Gehrig card, which is back here in the center. And I bought from him in Philly. I bought from him in Philly twice at least now. But this one had a price on it. I went over, I did my research, came back. I said, this is the price that I think is good for this. And he said, yeah, okay. So it was, being fair with dealers, telling them your information, and they know you, helps a lot in terms of being able to finish a deal and to have everybody be generally happy at the end of the deal. So anyway, again, 1933 DeLong, Jimmie Foxx, very happy to have added it to my collection. So those are my recent pickups. Next week's show will feature a guest about an old pre-war player. After that, I've got a classic Yankee guy that I'm going to have, and the Jimmie Foxx show I mentioned, and a couple of others. And then, of course, the live stream, my first ever live stream, in some point in June. I'm going to be away for a little bit, end of May, early June. But when I come back, we'll celebrate the 1-year anniversary of the channel. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you back here next week.